This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah.
It's another Birds Breakdown, and we're back. Obviously, last week I was traveling and could not do the show, so I apologize to everybody who wanted to check in with us on Monday, and we just weren't there. But we are back, and we're broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and Northeast Streaming Sports Network and Zodiac TV. It's been a few days. What's up,
man? Dude, I'm doing great. I feel a little bit better than the fan base I feel like these days. But look, it's a long season, as we all know. We have an extra game this year as well. But it's been a while. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning on in. It feels a little weird because obviously the last time we saw the Eagles play wasn't yesterday. It's not even tonight. It was last Thursday, so we had a couple days. But there was some good, again, like every single game this year, some good, some bad. I think we're still talking about the same things, which is a little frustrating. But there are some good things that I have been enjoying watching. And I think that this team is to me a good game plan away from being a much more competitive team, but I'm sure we'll dive into that in full effect. And of course, we have big news as well, the Philly Sports Guide, to talk about from last Friday.
we might as well lead off with that because that really made up more headlines than the game itself.
I'll try not to cry.
Yeah, which everybody kind of expected that we probably were not going to do well against Tampa Bay. I actually thought we could possibly pull it out, and realistically, we had our opportunities to do so.
Right.
But that goes back to what I say is coaching. This is not this is becoming more and more challenging watching this. Pop Warner offense. But Zach Ertz, is an Arizona Cardinal. And I want to say this first and foremost. Obviously, I was a big fan of Zach Ertz.
Right.
He was a tremendous athlete here in Philadelphia. He was one that knew what Philadelphia stood for and what it was all about. I like the fact that the Eagles took care of him. They gave him the opportunity. They didn't send him to some scrub team where he was going to sit there and, like Miami wanted him, or even Indianapolis wanted him. And I mean, imagine being on those teams right now. It would be like being on the Eagles, I'd imagine. However, they waited and bided their time and sent him over to a team. So he went, he woke up 2-4 and, or went to bed 2-4 and woke up 6-0, which
crazy?
Is, awesome. And from what I understand, they are not. This is like a one-year thing. He's not going to do negotiations right now. So this wouldn't surprise me to see him back next year.
Yeah. I mean, you heard what he said after. He wants to break Carmichael's record, which I love. And even hearing him talk about, and we've talked about this before, I love the Philly sports athletes when their career's done, like they just feel like this is their home. I mean, you hear him talking about how, like, the trade talks was happening. They were letting Zach Ertz say, like, Zach, you're probably going to be closer to home. You'll be closer to Julie and all that. And he's like, well, this is my home. Like, he's made this his home since 2013 and he came in the league. He's put his heart, his sweat, his tears, his blood. He literally bled for this franchise. And he's like as old school as it comes with when it comes to the Eagles, an Eagles player. And it definitely sucks. I mean, Zach, to me, I mean, I every time I think about him, I think about the Super Bowl. I mean, he pretty much had the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl, and that was a big moment for all of us. He broke a lot of records. He was a lot of fun for most of his career here in Philadelphia. He was a top 5 tight end, and that nothing's going to take that away from him. But yeah, we're both heading in different directions. I really hope he does get that ring. Obviously, I'll have a rooting interest in the Cardinals in the playoffs because I don't really think our team will be making it, but. In return, I think what we need to take away, because I think we all kind of expected this to happen, like at some point this season, Ertz was going to go. But I don't think this trade was as bad as some Eagles fans make it out to be. The fact of the matter is, veteran players in the situation Zach Ertz is in, he's around 30 years old. Teams don't really covet 30-year-olds like that. You got yourself a 5th-round pick this year. It's another draft pick. That's 10 draft picks in 2022. You get a cornerback prospect who the Eagles actually had an eye out in this past draft. He seems to be like a good prospect. The problem is in Arizona, they had too many cornerbacks in that room. There was just no room for him, and they just dish him out to Philly. And I don't know what Steven Nelson's future is going to hold. I'm not really buying the whole he's going to come back next year. But regardless, you got another prospect here you can kind of look at. And again, Zach, I think both sides win in the situation, and you really have to do right by this guy because this is one of your franchise's legends. Remember, this whole era that we just went through with Eagles football is one of the best in franchise history. So we got to make sure we honor those guys the correct way.
Well, and I agree, and I feel that, especially. I mean, he went to a team one that really does have a chance here to go to the Super Bowl. A lot of people have touted them as possibly the representative from the NFC. And he goes in there as a number one tight end too. They don't
Yeah.
really have a guy who can play that position right now. So I felt like the Eagles really went out of their way to take care of him some. And I
Yeah.
feel that showed a little bit. And I know that the media is always really quick to criticize this franchise for a lot of different reasons. And I felt that this was something that Howie did right, and not only that, it's important that he show that, and they show that the right way, because that's something that players really care about.
Yeah.
How is it, like when you're, who was that Dallas Cowboy that came here for a few minutes and then went out and then started crying about the fact that it sucked being here?
Orlando Scandrick.
That's him.
The
That
crummy
that
Orlando.
that douche. That douche. Obviously, nobody cared about what he had to say.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because all he was a little whiny baby. You know,
Mhm.
I tell you, I mean, Zach Ertz was always very emotional. He always wore his heart in his sleeve.
Yeah.
I remember at the end of the playoff game, or the end of the season last year, that he sat there out in the field because he didn't want to come back in, and it was him and Kelsey and
Wency.
yeah, all three of them were sitting there trying to figure out whether they were going to be back or not.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that now out of those three, Kelsey's the only one that's still here.
Who would have thought that one? But no, Ertz and Howie, I think they reconcile their relationship over the off season and of course in training camp as well. So I think at that point, Howie's like, I think we got to do best by Zach Ertz here. And it's crazy, man. Yeah, you mentioned that offense. That offense is already dangerous. Kyler Murray took another step in his game, and adding a tight end to that already dangerous offense, it's going to be fun to watch as a football fan. But yeah, you just hope for nothing but the best for Ertz. And we'll see what happens, but it's crazy. Now the question is, does Kelsey keep the blonde hair now, or does he just shave it all off because Ertz is now gone?
I thought that he would have just dyed it back.
There you go.
However, it is what it is. So it's got to be grown out now. I know my hair
Right.
grows like weeds, so when I have blonde hair, it grows out really quickly. So I can imagine it's only a matter of time before that blonde hair has disappeared, and it turns to some gray.
How
But
about Ertz getting a touchdown in his last game as an Eagle? That's pretty cool.
again, I kind of felt that was something that they went out of their way to do. I know that the players didn't know, but he did know.
Right. Right.
Going into Thursday, actually, they let it be his option that he
That's
had the
awesome.
opportunity to play this last game or get get traded on Wednesday, and he wanted to play this last game here. And luckily, I mean, thank God of that, because obviously, Goddard was out in COVID protocol. So like, who
Mhm.
would have been our tight end, if he wasn't able to go? I mean, I haven't even seen or heard of Richard Rodgers at all.
No,
So
Jack Stoll was the second tight end on that roster, the Nebraska kid. And then there was a kid from Oregon State they brought up from the practice squad. I forget his name, but yeah, I think they cut Richard Rodgers because I haven't seen him anywhere since preseason. So it is definitely weird. I don't know exactly what
yeah,
happened
and
there.
obviously Tyree Jackson will be here next year. I know that they are really excited about that. He even mentioned it when talking about the trade with Ertz, that obviously they have Dallas here, and Tyree Jackson was brought up even in that conversation by Howie, so they really do have him high up on their list
Hmm.
of somebody who could really start to take over for Ertz,
Yeah, yeah.
in that position.
But you saw a lot on Thursdays. I'm sure we'll get into it, but you saw a lot of the 11 personnel, and I think that is what Sirianni would rather run. You had those two tight ends; they're really good tight ends, so that's why you saw a lot of 12 personnel. But obviously, your boy Quez has been stepping it up and solidifying himself as that number two, and you got Rager. I'll leave it at that. You got Rager.
Yeah. And they were talking about that. I was listening to Sports Talk Radio for a minute earlier today,
Uh-huh.
and they were talking about the difference between Rager and Jefferson, how Rager had like 600 catches or 600 yards and 5 touchdowns to Jefferson's, like, I think this was in the last year of college, where Jefferson had like 1,500 yards and 19 touchdowns. And somebody thought, in that room that Rager was going to be better than Jefferson.
Yeah, we all got that one wrong, man. But I think for me, what really frustrates me with Rager is just the immaturity. Like to me, when I watch him play, like I know you love Dwight Howard, but what really bothered me about Dwight was when he clearly fouled someone and he's like arguing, like, dude, that was a clear foul. Like Rager on Thursday, there was like two instances that the first pass interference. Like, why are you pointing at the guy? Like, get up and go back to the huddle. You don't need to point. You don't need to showboat. You don't need to do any of that. The penalty happened. Just walk back. He just does too much talking. And it kind of drives me insane. And the problem is the play doesn't back it up either. So it just gets a little frustrating.
Well, we could talk about the play, but I mean, I'm not sure where this comes from. I just read a report just a few minutes ago that Nick Sirianni is not on the hot seat and will be back as an Eagles coach next year. I have not heard, like, now that came from Jay Glazer, and I'm not exactly sure why it decided to come out right this very second.
It's a weird time, yeah.
So I'm not sure if Jay asked the question and that was the response, or the Eagles went ahead and said, "Hey, we just want everybody to know that he is our coach, and we're going to be doing everything that we can to help him get through this." I am a little frustrated. Well, as probably most of the fan base is. When Nick Sirianni said that they wanted to keep everything basic and simple, I did not realize he meant that we're going back to Pop Warner football.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that everybody sees the plays that he's calling.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows what's happening. And even when they score some touchdowns, obviously, and that's mostly on the legs of Hurts, it's very wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Now, I have good things and bad things that I feel about Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Hurts, I'd love to take his heart, his leadership ability, and his mental prowess and put it in somebody who actually could play quarterback. Not that I feel like he can't play quarterback. I just feel like that he would be a much better quarterback on 7-on-7 flag football. And and I'm not trying to demean him. I'm not trying to sound like I am down on Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
But his arm strength is a problem. And even when you're getting Quez Watkins is the perfect example. He has been open on some of these throws, like, amazingly. However, he's got to go under it and fair catch it almost, and always the D-back catches up with him. He hasn't been able to break it because he's got to slow down to catch the ball that's wobbling.
Right.
And that is where I have my biggest problem. I was talking to an NFL defensive end, and I was asking him, like, just on your opinion, what are your thoughts? I says, my thing is that I see the duck balls he's throwing. They're wobbly, even on short passes. And when you throw the long ball, it's a rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great if that rainbow is being thrown in the very beginning of the play so that the guy's got to run to it. However, the problem gets down to the fact that, I mean, it was like the first interception. He threw that rainbow, and of
Oh, it
course it was
pissed me off.
intercepted. Again, it
Fundamentals,
was not
man.
a throw that should have happened, and I understand why he threw it. It was kind of like a punt. I guess that's what we're going to do now. We're going to punt and throw our first interception down to the goal line, and that's how we're going to do it. Except the fact that they had Tom Brady, who said, "Yeah, my thumb hurts, my thumb hurts, my thumb hurts," and then went ahead and just walked down the field, throwing the ball like like his thumb didn't hurt.
Right.
So this team everybody's saying it lacks identity. No, I feel like it doesn't lack identity. It lacks sophistication. That our identity is that we are a Pop Warner offense, and that the defense is getting frustrated from the other side of the ball.
Back-to-back
That's what
years.
I felt. That's what I felt.
Yeah, man. Yeah, back-to-back years, this defense has had to kind of carry this offense, and this defense has got to be exhausted at this point from all the carrying that they've been doing. But no, look, I mean, when it comes to Jalen, here's my thing with it. Right now, I'm not going to argue that arm is not the best. I don't know if it's an NFL arm. There are throws that I see, and even on Thursday night, I saw that it was like, wow, okay, all right, that was nice. That's what NFL quarterbacks do. But then you mentioned the interception. I think what pissed me off more in the interception was the lack of fundamentals. To me, I hate throwing off your back foot. It just reminds me of Eli Manning. Like, you don't need to throw with your back foot, and that is just composure in the pocket, planting your feet and just throwing the ball. I don't know if it would have been intercepted if he would have planted his feet the proper way, but regardless, fundamentals is something we're going to have to look at when it comes to Jalen Hurts, especially when we know the accuracy on his ball is not the best. There's a where it's like, why aren't you floating it in instead of darting it in? Like, I don't know if Jalen has all that, but obviously it's tough for me because I see the moxie like you speak out. I see the leadership that he demonstrates. I know he's running the ball way too much, but from what I'm seeing a quarterback that has stuff that he could potentially be a franchise quarterback. But what I don't see is leadership for him. I don't see a proper game plan put in place for him. Look, whatever, you want to run this high school offense, you think that Jalen can only run a read option type of offense? Why not try? Like, try to run some sort of pro sets. Try to run a single back set with Jalen under the center. Try different things. Like what you're doing right now, it is not working. Throwing 20 screens in a game, it's not working. And by the way, it's not a run play. It's a pass play. If you look at the stats, I hate looking at stats, but if you look at stats, a screen is a pass play. It is not a run play. So to me, when I look at Jalen's development, how can he develop when he's out there trying to beat Carson Wentz? This is stuff that we saw Carson Wentz trying to do. I think Jalen is a little bit more mentally strong than Carson Wentz. I think that's why Jalen is succeeding a little bit more than Carson Wentz right now. But look at what's going on. Let's look at Carson Wentz real quick. Just real quick. The past 2 games, he's looked pretty solid. He had the block. Why? Indy's running the ball. We already knew about Indy's defense. He's got good weapons out there. He's got a good coach out there. Here in Philadelphia, this defense is I'm not going to say it's bad, but it's not good either. He's got some weapons, but are too young, and he's got a coaching staff that I don't know what they're thinking when it comes to the pass plays. And of course, the Philly sports guy. You know what we're going to talk about. Why was it that we decided to wait on the last offensive possession to start using Miles Sanders on the ground? Like, come on. This is what I'm saying with Sirianni. I'm at the honeymoon stages over at Nick. You can say all you want. You can say, I hold myself accountable and no one's harder. Like, dude, the talk's got to stop. At some point, action's got to speak. Just stop talking. That's it.
I agree. And beginning to believe that they are going to be setting themselves up to be able to have to draft another quarterback. That as of right now, as of today, right this very second, the Eagles would have the 2nd, 6th, and 7th pick in the draft.
Pretty nice.
So talk about that would change. That should change a franchise.
Here's the other issue. Look, you know me. I'm not big on the college game, but there's no Trevor Lawrence, there's no Andrew Luck out there in this draft. So, like, okay, we have three potentially. Let's say we have 3 picks in the top 15. Where's the quarterback going to come from? Like, where's the quarterback that's going to change this franchise around? So that's another issue we got to be thinking about. This is why I really wanted Jalen to be the guy, because I just wanted to focus on defense. And from what I'm hearing, this is going to be a solid defensive draft. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. But I don't even, was it Rattler the best QB prospect? Carson Strong from Carson Strong seems to be the QB prospect out of Nevada. So that should say everything for you guys right there. But yeah, it's not bad. That's not a bad sight to see this morning.
Well, I am ready to, like I said, something's got to give. Something's got to give. I'm tired of talking about not running the ball. You know what I mean? I'm tired of
Same.
talking about it. It's so ridiculous. It amazes me that realistically, and this is going to segue into our Philly sports trips statistics of the game. Again, Philly sports trips. We still have tickets available to go to. Since we're going to Vegas next week, but we still have tickets available to go to Denver and also all of the bus trips, both New York games and Washington. So definitely go to phillysportstrips.com to get in on all the info and get your tickets now. So the one statistic, there's actually 2 statistics that really stuck out to me more than everything else. The first statistic was that they had more penalty yards than we had individually passing or rushing.
Mm.
They had 120 penalty yards. We had 115 yards passing and 100 yards rushing.
Yeah, that flag was thrown a little too friendly, though. If I'm being honest, on Thursday night, and I'm specifically looking at the taunting play. Look, regardless, Jannard Avery needs to be a smarter player. Like that. That's just the fact of the matter of it. But that pass interference at the end with Darius Slay and Mike Evans, be a little questionable about that.
Well, and I was really talking more about Tampa Bay had 110 yards of penalties.
Okay,
So
I just saw that too.
over or 120 yards of penalty. So over half of our offense was created in penalties. That is ridiculous. The other statistic that really stands out to me more than anything else is the time of possession.
Yeah,
For lack of a better term, it was 40 minutes to 20 minutes. And the
pretty
last
much.
time I saw numbers like that, there was a guy named Chip Kelly here who was running offensive plays a lot. That is pathetic. Pathetic. And this is telling me it's way too much. There's way too much happening to be able to have to, one, keep the defense on the field that long. Obviously, when the defense is on the field for 40 minutes, you're going to lose the game. And it doesn't matter how close it is.
I do want to give credit to the defense because I felt like they played pretty solid for what you just talked about, that time of possession. I thought this Tampa Bay offense was going to put up 40 on us, and for them to hold them to 28, I think the defense should feel proud about that. I don't think that they were the reason we lost.
I think they didn't care. I think Tampa Bay could have put 40 on us. I honestly, absolutely believe that. I feel that Tampa Bay really shut it down in the second half. They just did not care. They figured they were going to be able to stop it, and they figured they could turn on the switch whenever they wanted to, which is kind of what they did in that last drive, where it was like the last 7 minutes of the game was all Tampa Bay. You know what I mean?
The AB catch, Marcus Epps still trying to catch AB.
I mean, so it's just this has been a challenging team to watch. And I've been at the games, obviously. I'm doing all 17 games there live and in color, and it's hard to watch this team. It's hard to be able to continue to think like that we're going to be able to stay in it and come back. I mean, they did show some heart, and I feel that that's the one thing that is being heard, that they are competing and not giving up.
This is true.
Now, again, it's, I've had my frustrations with third and ones. Every third and one battle, I think we've won 1 out of 22. And it's becoming pathetic that we cannot get off the field in third down. Again, let's go back to statistics on third down. Actually, we were 7 for 13, or they were 7 for 13 on third down. We were 3 for 10. So they get us off the field, we can't get off the field, and it's like nonstop. They had 73 offensive plays to our 47.
This is not enough.
It amazes me that the game was as close as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tell you what, the bookies made out like a bandit. Because I know I said you definitely want to take the under and that you should take the Eagles with the points. And literally, that's what came out. Because the public took Tampa Bay and the over throughout. And I was like, this is not an over game. I didn't think it was going to happen the way that it did, where Tampa scored, sat on the ball for the last 2 minutes and 35 seconds. I was like, okay, I'll just get this first down and then we'll just kneel and kneel and kneel. You know what I mean? It just, it amazed me. It amazed me that they kept it so close as they did. But I think that had more to do with Tampa than with us.
Yeah, man. How about our linebackers getting ran over by Leonard Fournette all night long?
Well, and there's something that I was watching with Brian Westbrook. Brian Westbrook is doing videos like Baldy.
Yeah, he's doing great.
And I was watching how this is the problem that we have with the linebackers, and he was specifically singling out Singleton. And Singleton last year was great because we had something much, much worse last year. This year, he is more worried about getting beat than making the stop. And they showed where he was in the hole, and if he just kept going forward, he could have made a stop in the backfield. Instead, he let Fournette come to him, and that's why he got pushed.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. That's the biggest difference. You have to attack. If you're going to over pursue, then I in some cases I'd almost rather that.
Right.
I'd rather you over pursue than under pursue. That, hey, I'm going to sit here and then I'm going to let him come to me. And of course, once he starts running with some power, he's like Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard just was able to lift and carry people with him.
Yeah.
That's what Fournette was able to do.
Doing it all, man. Doing it all. I think he had like 6 catches too, on top of his 81 yards, something like that. He had a great game. I think what frustrates me more is just the lack of fundamentals with these linebackers. The tackling, like, look, Fournette's a big dude. That's a girthy mother effer over there. And like, why? Like, to me, I hate, like, why are you tackling so high? Like, why? It's like fundamental stuff, especially when you see a bigger back like that. Just go for the legs. Like, come on, stop trying to fool us. Davion Taylor, I saw get a lot of love out there. I think Eagles fans just want to see a young guy bring some promise. But Davion can run. I'll say that. Davion can run with these guys. But his tackling as well is pretty atrocious. Like the dude doesn't even rap. All right. So I know we want to see a bright spot with the linebacker core, but overall, this is going to be a position they're going to have to fix. And it has to be the number one priority, even more than quarterback, in my honest opinion, going into next year. And the thing is, too, like, we're sitting here watching this linebacker play. And then on offense, when the Eagles are out there, you're seeing Devin White. You're seeing Shaq Barrett. They didn't have Lavonte David out there, who I think is their second best linebacker. And still, like, Devin White was all over the place. Shaq Barrett was all over the place as well, making Jalen Hurts get out the pocket. It would be nice to have some good linebacker play in the city, man.
Well, and I can't imagine that that's going to get fixed anytime soon, because that's just their philosophy. Their philosophy is, we'll take care of it sometime.
Makes no
maybe.
sense.
And it's becoming challenging, obviously. Now I feel like as we move forward here, that we have some games, the next 2 games specifically, that are very, very winnable. I know that as of right now, that the Raiders beat the Broncos last night, and realistically, that was I felt that was there. We're not going to let the media get to us and we're going to go ahead and be able to move forward here and win this game against a Denver Broncos team that I think was a little overrated in the first couple of games. So obviously, when they got to this game, it was like, yeah, all right, the Raiders actually took care of business. However, I think that it's all going to catch up to the Raiders pretty quickly, and that we couldn't be going in at a better time. Had we played them this week, I feel like we would have lost,
Right.
because I feel like that the team rallied around the new coach. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we're going to do our thing. But now that emotion is gone, and it's going to be really tough for them to be able to keep up that standard. And I think that John Gruden had a lot to do with being able to get them prepared to that point. And now he's not there. And it's hard to replace that. And along with the fact that they're going to still be answering questions, they're still going to have to deal with the media presence over there. And we've had 10 days to figure this out and such. So I expect that we are going to go out to Vegas and we're going to win. And we're going to win actually somewhat handily, because I feel that just Vegas is going to be in a lot more disarray than we are.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Detroit after that, which I think is also a very winnable game, although Detroit has been doing everything that they can to try to stay in games.
Yeah.
And they've been doing pretty well in that regards, at least that they've been keeping it close. That's still a very winnable game, if not, an automatic win.
Right.
So literally at the end of week 8, we could be or should be 4-4.
And at that point, what does this fan base think then?
Well, I think that the fan base is going to automatically think what they're thinking now, because I don't know that the play calling is going to change to make those wins happen. And that's going to be something hard to deal with. On top of that, then you have like the Chargers, and then it's so like, and then Denver, so like, all right, do you win those games? I'm listing Denver as a win. I'm listing the Chargers as a loss. And then I am taking the NFC East and winning 4 of those 5 games, thinking that we're going to sweep Washington and sweep the Giants. Okay. Now, the Giants are going to be raring for us, and we, the first time they play us. But, and then we have the Jets in the process. So I'm still giving an extra loss in there somewhere. If we were to lose to the Broncos, I kind of feel like that's where we're going to get our 9-8. However, if we beat the Broncos, we could lose one of the games to Washington or the Giants, because I feel like we beat the Jets. I feel that we'll crush them, and we're still going to wind up with 9. And God forbid if we, beat Denver and beat them all and actually take 10, because I don't think we beat Dallas. Dallas sucks, but that's just me saying that. You know what I mean? Actually, Dallas is a really good team, and the fact that they were able to kind of stay with their game plan yesterday. I thought that they were going to lose that game.
I thought they got lucky in overtime, though. I'll say that.
Well, I guess you could call it lucky in overtime. They took on Jalen Mills.
Well, I was referring to the pass interference that they didn't call on Nelson Aguilar. Or I forget who was covering Nelson Aguilar, but the defender had his hands clearly on Nelson's face mask before he could turn around. And it is what it is. You know me, I don't like blaming the refereeing on game results, but that's definitely one that should have been handled back. But I agree, man. Dallas is it's a balanced team too, and the defense has gotten better. And you consider like a guy like Randy Gregory has stepped up this year. Micah Parsons has been an absolute stud for them, and Diggs has been really big for them as well. But if I were to tell Eagles fans that there is actually a possibility that they could make the playoffs, even without winning the division, did the NFL announce if they're going to move back to 6 teams on each side, or are they going to stick with 7?
No, that's 7 teams on each side now.
So if you look at the 6 and the 7 seeds right now, the New Orleans Saints at 3-2 currently, and the Minnesota Vikings at 3-3 right now. I don't know about you, but those teams really don't scare me too much. So there is a possibility here. But again, guys, look, this year, I'm not more so worried about that. I'm not. Look, we're not gonna. If we make the playoffs, we're not gonna win any Super Bowls. I really am still evaluating this team. I'm still trying to see. I want to see Jalen in this stretch here. So now this Raiders game, like you mentioned, is not going to be as hard as I thought in the beginning of the year. And then you got a bunch of other teams who are kind of there. I mean, I think the Chargers are much better than what we anticipated before the season. I'm really not worried about any other opponent on that list there that we have for the rest of the schedule. So it's still there. So the Eagles need to fight. Like there is still an opportunity here to make the playoffs. You still want to make that. So it's looking pretty damn good right now, if you're asking me. So we'll see what we look like in 2 weeks. But 4-4 after 8 weeks, I mean, looks
That's
good.
what I expect to be at. We need to be at 4-4 if we're going to have any chance. And then realistically, like I said, the only game that I feel like that is a straight out loss or straight out losses is going to be against the Chargers in Dallas.
Yeah.
And both of those are home games.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, obviously, winning in a division game is always going to be tough, and especially against the Giants, who are going to be gunning for us pretty hardcore. I can imagine that they are, really going to try to do whatever they can to make sure that they ruin whatever, hope we think we have for playoffs. Even if, again, the only reason why I would consider even making the playoffs as a good thing is because I want the guys to get the playoff experience.
Oh yeah.
That's it. That's it. I don't care that if we get shellacked in that first game because we shouldn't have been in there in first place. So I don't expect that we're going to make the playoffs, and I don't think that 9 games is going to be enough to make the playoffs. So you're going to have to win 10 games at the very, very least. That all being said, I don't know that we're going to win 10 games, but it's possible. And even looking at the schedule, even though, I think of the Saints, I'm not scared of the Saints. If we were to beat Denver, I mean, well, then now you got Denver beaten and the Saints beaten. And I think that we are better than both the Giants and the football team. So, and that's now 6 wins. That's definitely 10. And then go in with 10 wins to the last game of the season against Dallas. Who knows how Dallas is going to look then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, that could be the fact that they've won the conference, that they got the number 1 seed, and they want to rest. Then you could have 11 wins.
There you go.
I mean, that's really far-fetched. I don't want anybody to think I got this team winning 11 games, especially with the offense the way that they have it. I mean, I don't know that my Pop Warner team would win 11 games playing this offense. So that's the hard part with this, and I am wondering what is it that Jeff and Howie are thinking right now when it comes to these, with what's going on.
Let me ask you something, because you just talked about that high school offense. What point would you think about giving the responsibility full time to Shane Steichen, who's the offensive coordinator as of now?
So here's the problem I run into that right now, because I don't care who calls the plays. Is there other plays? Have they figured anything else out? Is there more to this playbook than the 8 plays that we see? Because as right now, all I see are 8 plays. And 2 of those plays should never be called again. I'm tired of the wide receiver screen. It does not work. They see it coming. They know it's coming. Then how is it they expect it to work, especially down at the goal line? Every time they call it down to the goal line, they lose 5-6 yards. Why is it the first play, when it's first and goal, we lose yardage? Every single time. Whether it's by a penalty, whether it's by the play just getting blown up, every single time. They know what we're calling. They know the 4 plays that you call when it's, first and goal to go. And obviously, they're ready for them.
I agree.
Maybe it's time to find the 5th play.
Yeah, I agree. And the problem is, it pisses me off because, the screenplay is a really valuable play in an offensive game plan. But now, by running it so many times, it loses its value. When you're going up against a good pass rush, or let's say it's 3rd or 2nd and long, that's a great time to run a screenplay. Not on 3rd and 3 at the 12-yard line. That's not when you run the darn screenplay. They're just abusing these things that can actually help you out. I would just like to, again, I agree with you. I would like to see different things. I would like to like just try to implement more of a pro style offense or something different. Problem is we're running into because of these RPOs. These guys aren't on the same page at times. So sometimes you're seeing, they run these RPOs. Jalen's looking to throw, but the receivers are thinking that they're going downfield to block, and then Jalen has no receivers, and he's got to go out the pocket and try to create a play. And there's just not enough communication. And again, it goes back to the fact that this coaching staff is not having the gumption, and they're putting way too much pressure on a kid who is pretty much a rookie quarterback. God bless.
Right. And I don't think it's going to get any better.
I agree.
So it doesn't matter to me who calls the plays. If the plays are crappy plays, then it ain't going to matter who's calling them. Right? This is like playing Madden. And like it's like me playing Madden is the problem because I only call like 4 plays because that's the only plays I know how to do. So the defense gets ready for those 4 plays, but I got to get better than that. You know what I mean? I gotta juke and jive, and hopefully I can shimmy around people. But that's why I suck at playing video games because I'm easy to figure out. These guys are getting paid a lot more money than me playing a video game.
But what happened to those promises we were promised in the beginning of the year, where you're hearing Sirianni and Gannon? I think Gannon's done a better job, but you're hearing Sirianni say like, "Oh, I don't know how our offense is going to be. It's all about personnel. It's all about what we have on the field." You're not calling any plays to get your playmakers involved. Like there's no game plan surrounded Devontae Smith, no game plan surrounded by Miles Sanders, Quez Watkins, nothing. It's just these darn RPOs with the same 8 plays like you mentioned. Like there's no like intelligence when it comes to this offense.
And it's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
That's what I'm afraid of. It's not going to get any better. That I said that I thought that it was going to take 8 weeks for the offense to start to settle in and get itself acclimated to being able to run efficiently. But I didn't take into consideration how simple he was going to make the offense. And that's the issue. He said about making it simple. He talked about making it simple. That was Sirianni. We're going to do this. It was from the very first press conference that he flubbed up, that it's going to be super simple and we're going to keep it simple because I don't want these guys having to think. Well, there ain't nobody thinking is what I feel like. Nobody's thinking at all. And you have an offensive coordinator who obviously has no say because Nick Sirianni is coming up with the plays and calling these plays. The problem is that there's no rhyme or reason to the play he calls.
Right.
Like he just doesn't have like a team that comes up against us, and it seems like we've been letting up the first. When they do their scripted plays, they score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I think it was 5 of 6 games they've scored on the first drive, and I don't understand how it is that our script is always 3 and out. And do they plan that script that way? It's like, okay, we're going to do this play, then we're going to do this play, we're going to do this play, and then we're going to punt.
Pass, punt.
And it's like, hey, where we run the ball, and then of course they run it into the end zone, and it's like the fans like, oh well, we called that play. No, we didn't call that play. Obviously he was trying to do it to maybe shut the fans up some because he hears it. He hears it, and he knows that if whatever they're yelling at it during the game, they're talking about all week long on sports talk radio. And we have 3 stations of sports talk radio. I'm counting the AM station as well, that we can go on and talk to and complain about the fact that Nick Sirianni is obviously somebody who should be coaching junior high school.
He'd be a great college coach.
Would he? I feel like that good college coaches, a good college coach going up against him would beat him.
This is true.
So you just studied under, Frank, and he is fairly innovative.
Yeah.
Didn't you get anything from that? You didn't learn anything from being under Frank?
You know what's crazy though? Frank's offense, they run the ball like quite often. Where did that come from? Why is it not here?
I don't, maybe because he realizes that Wentz isn't as good as he thinks he is. Hey, listen, I was happy that Wentz has won the last 2 games.
Yeah.
We needed him to win those last 2 games. Or actually he played well and lost. And that was probably the best case scenario
Yeah.
where that loss had nothing to do with him whatsoever. He actually played a pretty good game. And then the play calling got a little stagnant in the
Mhm.
in the fourth quarter, and they played not to lose, and they lost.
Right.
And that's what happens sometimes. So that couldn't have worked out any better for the Eagles because
Yeah.
he's playing all those snaps.
Hey,
I
that
expect that he's got and he needed to win, and he needed to win convincingly. I'm glad that
yeah.
that happened as well because they absolutely needed to put Houston away and on their butts quick, and he did.
Yeah.
And now I fully expect that gives him another 3 weeks. So now we're at week 9. If he loses 3 games in a row, now you got to start to consider whether he's going to be benched or not because you don't want to lose that first round pick.
I mean, if you're Indy too, that division. I mean, listen, Tennessee's not running away with it, so they're still in it. And yeah, we'll see how they look, but things are looking up there for us as far as that draft pick goes. And I know we keep looking at who would have thought Miami would have been this bad? I did not think they look incompetent at. I did
I
not.
thought they were going to be this big. So Miami is going to definitely pull it, do better in the second half of the season as they did last year. Now Tua, I mean, obviously they got no quarterback.
Yeah,
Whether it's Tua, whether it's whatever, Fitzpatrick was able to do certain things for them last year and just be able to pull out games out of his butt. But now it's no longer ability to have that. That team stinks out loud. And I was happy. I was like, damn, I says we're gonna wind up with the 49ers pick. We don't have the 49ers pick, we have Miami's actual pick. And that's gonna
yeah,
wind up being a top 3 pick.
yes, sir. Imagine
And
second overall pick.
especially now, like who is the team that's got no wins right now? The
The Detroit
Lions.
Lions. That's right.
Yeah. And do we help ourselves out by maybe losing to the Detroit Lions so that maybe we could
We
wind
took
up with the
one
number
overall
1
pick.
pick in the draft? Could
That'd be
that be?
crazy.
I mean, how possible is that now?
You know what's
Scary
crazy?
to think of it like that. That we're going to lose a game so that we wind up getting the first pick from another team.
Right.
Help ourselves out some. I think it's still too early in the season to try to play that.
Right.
I think we still win as many games as possible and try to get in the top 14 and get into the playoffs.
I agree.
We'll see if that really actually does occur. But I expect that, really right this very second, I mean, even though I guess on paper, we still have the worst division in the National Football League. The Colts division is right there with us. I mean, the Titans got spanked again, didn't they?
I haven't been looking. I think they have. No, I think you're right. Yeah, they're 3-2 now. But I mean, when you lose to New York Jets, that kind of like tells you everything. They actually play tonight. They'll be up against the Bills, which I mean, I think we could say that's a loss.
That is a loss.
But yeah, it's funny because a lot of Eagles fans get frustrated with the Eagles not finding a quarterback. They like to kill Jalen Hurts after one start or whatever it is. But there are franchises out there that literally struggle with this department so badly. I mean, you talk about the Miami Dolphins. They have the ghost of Dan Marino still wandering around Miami. The Chicago Bears have never had a franchise quarterback in their history. I don't think the Lions have ever had a franchise quarterback in their history. So it's a tough position. It's not even a science. It's like it's a little bit of luck, it's a little bit of science, a little bit of skill, and it's such a hard position to find.
You mean you don't think Scott Mitchell was a franchise quarterback for the Lions? Or how about the guy they just traded over to the Rams?
Matthew Stafford is their best quarterback of all time. I'll give you that. But I mean, how many games did they win with him? I mean, I will say this: Detroit is known as a franchise to kill like these skilled players. Like they've had one of the best quarterbacks in Matt Stafford in this era. They literally wasted his time. They wasted Calvin Johnson's career. They wasted Barry Sanders' career. That's just Detroit being Detroit. And if you're a fan of the Lions, come here. I'm gonna give you a hug because that's just rough. That's just rough.
Right. Yeah. It's you know what, and their fan base is still very prideful. As funny as that sounds, the
It's a
Lions
blue collar
pride.
city
But
too, man. It's a blue collar
so
city.
I mean that the guys up there. I mean, I'm going to be up there for Halloween, and they
Hey,
they tailgate. They do their thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. to be up there with them, but I fully expect that they are going to be 0-7.
They got my respect for sure, man. But yeah.
So, and how about Jacksonville breaking again? They broke the cherry. It's they were going hardcore to get that record to the NFL, and now they got to start all over again. Yeah,
20.
so losing 21 games in a row and finally beating Miami. Thank you. I'm glad of that. Anyways, so that really worked out in our benefit. But
They just need to move to London. Just do it.
well, and that's not far away because Jacksonville. Yeah, I don't care how much they want to yell Duval. Duval is done. You know what I mean? Because they ain't interested. They ain't even going out to the games anymore. They're just not. It's a pathetic franchise. You got Urban Meyer who's dancing with the little girls, in
So
his
awkward.
restaurant and, not going home with the team, especially after a loss like that, where that team could have been up and, just what happens if somebody wants to get into a fist fight on the plane? The coach is supposed to be there to kind of stop that. Ain't nobody going to be stopping it there because, it's just a fugazi franchise is what that is. I don't see it at all anymore as anything that's going to be storied. And you think about Mark Brunell days and him doing those things and being again a play away from going to the Super Bowl to
Yeah.
this.
It should have never happened. I don't know why. Like Carolina was fine, but Jacksonville, and I think they just fell for a new stadium, and they were like, "Yeah, let's go for it." But I mean, I don't know if you were there at the Super Bowl when the Eagles were there in 04, 05, but I did not hear any good stories about their time down there. Like it wasn't like as like entertaining as maybe like a Miami or a New
Oh
Orleans.
yeah, everybody I spoke to said that it sucked down there.
Yeah,
Jacksonville is not a fun city to go to. It's not a clean city. It should have never have hit up a Super Bowl, but that was part of the allure of becoming a franchise. Yeah, it was like, okay, you get the Super Bowl there, and then like even the stadium was like weak sauce. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It wasn't anything worthwhile. So and I mean, I still have to hit that stadium. I did not go to that Super Bowl, so I did not see the Eagles play there. And the last time the Eagles played Jacksonville was over in London.
right.
So they haven't not been to Jacksonville for now going on.
Since the Mike Vick days, right?
Yeah, I want to say it's going on what, just about 12 years now?
Yeah, because I think it was 2010 we were there.
Yeah. So
Sheesh.
all right. So there you have it. You know what I mean? It's like that's just like next year. I think next year we're or is that because when we went to
I think you're right. Next year we'll be in the AFC South. And the Jacks will have
yeah,
to come
but I
up
think
here.
they come here. I think they come
Yeah.
here because we were in London for 2018.
I think we'll go to Houston and Indy.
Possibly.
Yeah, because we
I
went to
think
Tennessee in 2018. So
yes, we did.
Titans will come here, Jags will come here. We'll go to Indy, which should be a fun game going up against Carson. If he's still there, we'll see if that happens. And then, of
Right.
course, we'll be going down to Houston.
I've been to Houston Stadium already. It's Houston's not bad, and they've also got some really good fans out there. And again, talk about loyalty, where that franchise is in disarray, and the franchise, the fans are still there. Not only are they there for football, but they're there and they're banging the trash cans now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
No, but it goes back with them because remember, they had their franchise stolen from them from Tennessee. They moved the Oilers to Tennessee, and then those fans waited until the Texans came in 02, and then obviously we know the Texans went for their franchise's history. So that's
right,
those are some loyal fans down there for football at least.
right, exactly. And I mean, I liked the Houston Oilers back in the
Same.
day. So I mean, that was a fun thing to watch. And
I'm
what
sure
was
you're
that?
I'm sure you were enjoying
The
when
House
Buddy
of
was down
Pain
there.
game.
Yeah.
I'll never forget I think it was a 37-second play where I don't even remember who the quarterback was, but he like ran on one side of the field, the other side of the field, back on the other side of the field, underhand threw it before he ran out of bounds to make a completion. Now this is back with the Houston Oilers days. I mean, it was one of those things that was just like, wow, did we just see that? Literally, it was like 38 seconds of playtime, actual people running around chasing the quarterback and whatever, and he just did a whole like a softball pitch pass and it was a completion for like 7 yards. It's one of those plays that I think about. So,
Good old days.
but yeah, it was those were the good old days. And like I said, the fans were great then. They're still great there now. That stadium's actually a really nice stadium. Being in Houston's actually fun to do. So, as we're talking about Philly sports trips next year,
There
we're
you
going
go.
to Houston, I'm sure. But that being said, any prediction? What your prediction for Vegas?
For Vegas, things have changed. I did not think this was going to be a win, but I think that the Eagles, look, all these games that they have lost, besides maybe Dallas, I felt like they had an opportunity to win. Even the Chiefs game, I felt like that was in their grasp. But the Eagles have gone through these circumstances, and I feel like they're learning. I think this young team is learning. Again, we're going into this week. The question mark is the coaching. Is Sirianni put together an actual game plan with an actual offense that can succeed? That is my only question mark. I think the Eagles will find the way to win. And here's another key we didn't talk about. The Eagles have yet in 2021, even in Atlanta, have yet to play a complete game. I'm talking all 4 quarters where I felt like they actually put it all out there. And I want to see them actually do that here this week. I have the Eagles beating the Raiders. I'm going to go 23-20.
Okay. That's actually not a bad score. I have it being a little bit more higher scoring than that. I think that the Eagles will actually run up and down the field. I don't think that it's going to be because of coaching. I don't think the play calling is going to be any different. I just think that the Raiders are just going to be that flat, and I think it's going to be where the Eagles are going to win by like 10 points. It's almost going to be like a statement win, except that we're not going to be sure what the statement is. And that's I can't say that any differently than that. Like I have it like 38-28.
Okay.
So if I was the betting guy, the over is what I would call, because I still don't trust that the Eagles are going to be good enough to win this game. I don't trust the fact that I think that the Raiders are going to be as sad as I'm making them out to be. And it is my birthday, on Wednesday, and I am
There we
going out
go.
there. I am going out there to go fly out there on Thursday morning.
That's
So
how
I'm
you
going to be
started.
celebrating my birthday weekend out there in Vegas after I go to a hockey game on that Wednesday night to watch the Flyers beat the hell out of the Bruins.
Oh, we better.
But beyond that, like I says, I'm going to be ready to go. We're going to have a birthday party for me on Friday out in Vegas,
Nice.
and everybody's is welcome to come. Please get a hold of me if you're going to be out in Vegas. Find where I'm at. I'm going to be letting everybody know and vlogging all my trip out in Vegas in its entirety. So where in the world is the Philly sports guy? You're going to be able to find out pretty easily and come find me and then buy me a shot, because I'm going to barely be able to walk when I'm done. So, but I think it's going to be, like I said, a 38-28 game.
Okay.
And we'll come out victorious, at least in my opinion. And I am definitely going to take the over in this game.
Nice.
So
there you go.
We'll see, and I'll be able to cash it right, at the end of that. Be like, hey, here we go, because I'm here in Vegas, so I'll bet like $5 on the over and collect my $3.50. So that being said, we are complete with another, Birds breakdown. Now, I will have to say that I am not sure we're going to be able to do it again next Monday, specifically because I am going to be traveling again. So if we can get it done early in the morning, maybe I'll try to do it. It might be very early, and then we do the replay at 7:00. But it's going to be tough to try to make that happen, because it is going to be a day of travel, and it's going to be the same thing the following week, because I'm going to be in Detroit for Halloween, and then the day of travel, although I think I'm going to travel on that Sunday rather than Monday to try to get back here for that week. But anyways, it's going to be a lot of running around the next couple of weeks, and hopefully the Eagles can bring out a couple of dubs in the process. But in the meantime, for myself, the Philly sports guy, for El Parcero, Philly.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, let's take care of business this week and go out to Vegas and celebrate my birthday the royal way with a big dub. Go Birds!
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you guys.